Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. What's everything?
Hello, Glitha, Talofa, Kiorana, Malo Ilele, Ekamoiromo, Maori, and warmest Pacific greetings, everyone. Glory to God for the blessings bestowed upon us for us to be gathered here today in Honiara, Solomon Islands, united as a Pacific family. I would like to pay respects to the traditional owners of the land that we are meeting on today, here in Guadalcanal, and I acknowledge their elders, leaders, and youth, past, present, and emerging. I give special acknowledgement to our honorable guests, the esteemed Miss Pacific Islands Secretariat Chair and team, the Solomon Islands host team, our judges, as well as our families, supporters, online communities, but most importantly, my beautiful sisters, the ambassadors of our Pacific Island homes, our contestants for the Miss Pacific Islands 2025. It is an honor to stand before you today at the podium as your Miss Pacific Islands, Moimwana Safato Ashwenki, and your host for the pre-pageant interview. The Miss Pacific Islands platform is a powerful platform to champion the advancement of our Pacific women while preserving, protecting, and promoting our culture and traditions. And unlike pageant systems in the West, where the emphasis is on set beauty standards, our Miss Pacific Islands platform is to advocate for our culture, our environment, and our people. It is a cultural heritage platform that promotes the preservation for future generations, and it facilitates a space for our women leaders to be seen, to be heard, and to make a contribution. It has been humbling to serve as the current Miss Pacific Islands and a daughter of our Blue Pacific region, our One Soul Water, Blue Pacific continent. Our ladies today will be the voices of their islands, the keepers of their cultures, and our storytellers. And I welcome you all to the Miss Pacific Islands pre-pageant interview. Ladies, I know it may feel like the weight of your islands is on your shoulders right now for this event today, but I encourage you to take a deep breath, be calm, carry your cultures boldly, speak with the wisdom of your people that I know you've been brought up with. Be fearless, yet graceful in addressing the things that matter most to you and your people. You don't do this alone. You're not standing on the podium just as yourself. You stand there with many and you will be guided. So just know that everything's going to be okay. We are not defined by the smallness of our islands, but by the greatness of our ocean that binds all of us together today. Let us begin with that thought in mind, the strength of Pacific unity and the power of being one family. Before we head into the speeches and interview, we would like to begin with a word of prayer led by the committee director, Ms. Joyce of the Solomon Islands team. Thank you.
Let us pray. Eternal Father in heaven, thank you for today. Thank you for everyone that has come here to listen to our beautiful girls share their insights on different topics that affect our women. Thank you, Father, for the wisdom and knowledge bestowed upon them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Joyce. As we embark on this journey of intellect, culture, and grace, we are honored to be guided by a distinguished guest of our panel of judges, each bringing their expertise and wisdom to this pageant. And I would like to acknowledge and announce our main judges in no particular order. Our first judge, and please do wave when I call your name, is Miss Jane Glynn Canas. From Vanuatu, with years of experience coordinating the prestigious Hibiscus Festival and her work at SPC, Ms. Canas brings a wealth of experience in cultural event management and community engagement. Our second main judge is Mr. Jerry James Sokboy Tulangi Brunt. Of New Zealand and Samoan descent, a lawyer and the franchisee of Miss Universe Samoa, Mr. Brunt carries a passion for empowering our Pacific women on global platforms. His legal expertise and dedication to pageantry brings a wealth of knowledge to our judging panel. Our third judge, Jadida Korini Hona. Of Filipino and Solomon Islands descent, is a former Miss Universe Philippines finalist and an inspiring motivational speaker in Manila. Ms. Korini Hona champions confidence and self-expression, encouraging young women to embrace their strength and purpose. Our fourth main judge is Pakop Sovo. From Papua New Guinea, is an esteemed lecturer in education at the Pacific Adventist University. Mr. Sovo is dedicated to nurturing minds and fostering leadership, and his academic insight will help evaluate our contestants beyond just their beauty, focusing on intellect and impact. And our fifth and final judge is Anna Akapi Service. Of Canadian and Tongan descent, is a visionary fashion designer who blends Pacific heritage with contemporary trends. Ms. Service is a strong advocate for cultural representation in the global fashion industry, and I'd like to say thank you to all our judges. Please give them a round of applause. Next, we have our scrutineers. To ensure integrity, fairness, and transparency in our judging process, we are privileged to have the expertise of our scrutineers. We have Ms. Pamela Nauso from Solomon Islands, is the CEO of the Solomon Islands Accountants Association, ensuring the highest standard of accuracy in our scoring process. And we also have Clifton Mark of Solomon Islands. He is a financial manager at the Solomon Islands Ports Authority, dedicated to upholding accountability in all of our results. These are our amazing individuals that will help crown our next Miss Pacific Islands with honor and integrity. So please, one final round of applause. I would now like to call upon a Miss Pacific Islands Pageant Secretariat Representative, Ms. Tracy Wong Ling Warren, for the method of judging information for today.
Aloha oketa, good morning and warm greetings again everyone. Welcome to our pre-pageant program again interview today for the Miss Pacific Islands Pageant 2025. So before we begin, we'd like to go over a few housekeeping matters for the information of everyone who are gathered here today. Please ensure that you switch off your mobile phones or put it on silent to avoid any disruptions during the event. Please, no noise or distractions while contestants are doing their presentations or their speeches. If you need to leave the room, do so between the contestants' presentations and not during their presentations. In case of an emergency, please take note of the nearest exits and follow the instructions of our friendly staff here at the Heritage Park Hotel. And the restroom facilities are located just outside the hallway when you make your way out. Lastly, we kindly ask for your respect and attentiveness as our contestants share their insights and responses. Therefore, please keep all applause until the end of contestants' presentation. Moving along with our method of judging. Each contestant will have 5 minutes to present their topic. Judging will be based on the following: in-depth knowledge of the topic and intelligence, presentation and expression of topic, clarity of speech and emotional control, eloquence and elegance, and plus the quality of the responses to questions. Contestants will be asked at least 2 questions from at least 2 different judges. Each contestant will be given 5 minutes to present her chosen topic. We have a timekeeper sitting beside our scrutineers on that side, and the timekeeper will present an orange card or put up an orange card come the time that the contestant only has 1 more minute remaining of her allocated time for her speech. The red card stipulates that her time is up right there, and therefore points will be deducted if the contestants present over the stipulated time stated before. And these points deducted will be noted by our official scrutineers on that side. I take this opportunity to wish all our contestants here today all the best with your presentations. Thank you.
And now we begin the much anticipated part of today, the pre-pageant interview. This is an opportunity for our contestants to showcase not only their outer beauty and grace, but the depth of their knowledge, passion and leadership that we have seen throughout this whole week together. Leading us into this segment is our first contestant, representing the host nation, the Solomon Islands. Please welcome Miss Solomon Islands, Elsie Polosovai. Miss Solomon Islands contestant number 1 will be speaking on the topic of education.
Dame Carol Hindu once said,
Dame Carol Hindu once said that education is not just a right, it is a pathway to resilience, innovation, and sustainable development for the Pacific. Let us ensure every child has access to quality education, as they are the future of our blue Pacific continent. Distinguished judges, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Pacific Island Pageant Committee, and my fellow contestant sisters, I am contestant number 1, Elsie Polosovai, your Miss Solomon Islands 2024-2025. And it is an honor that I stand here before you to speak on a topic that not only shapes individual lives, but the future of our world: education. Education is more than what happens in the classroom. It happens in our homes, our communities, and through the experiences that shape us. Yet, across the Pacific, access to quality education remains a privilege and not a guarantee. According to UNESCO, 1 in 4 Pacific children do not complete primary school. And in remote areas, students travel for hours by boat, canoe, and overcrowded transport just to reach school. And in some rural areas of the Solomon Islands, one teacher may be responsible for up to 50 students. Girls and children with disabilities face even greater challenges held back by financial struggles and cultural norms. So while I enjoy my short bus rides to school, my cousins in the village still journey through rivers, dense bush just to get an education. But the challenge awaits them even when they arrive at school, as many rural schools lack textbooks, proper facilities, and trained teachers, making quality education even harder to access. So meanwhile, in some communities, boys' education is still prioritized over girls' education, which further limits the opportunities for countless young women. Education should not be a privilege determined by geography, gender, or circumstance. It should be a right, one that empowers every child in the Pacific to realize their full potential. Inclusivity means ensuring that every child, regardless of gender, socioeconomic background, ethnicity, or ability, has the opportunity to learn and thrive. But for many, this remains a distant reality. Children with disabilities in particular are often stigmatized and excluded from quality education. During a charity visit to one of the vocational training schools, I spoke with a student who shared how his disability has made him feel undervalued and often discriminated by his own community. And these are not just personal struggles, these are the barriers that hold us back as a collective to progress in our societies. So how do we break these barriers, and how do we make education truly accessible and inclusive in the Pacific? Number one, invest in inclusive infrastructure. We must build more schools that are accessible to all children, including those with disabilities. But we also need to think beyond a traditional classroom. Mobile schools, online learning platforms, and community-based digital programs can bring education to students who face these barriers. During COVID-19, the SIBC News delivered school lessons via radio, and while in Fiji, there were solar-powered radios that brought education to remote villages. Innovations like these prove that true inclusivity means reaching every child, no matter their circumstances. Number two, let's challenge cultural norms. We must dismantle barriers that limit girls' access to education. Providing scholarships, mentorship programs, and safe learning environments will empower girls to stay in school. As the saying goes, educate a girl, break the cycle, empower a sustainable future. Number three, strengthen partnerships. Sustainable solutions require collaboration with government, private organizations, and community. While UNESCO and UNICEF are doing a great job, there is still more work to be done. Education should go beyond the classroom. It should spark creativity, build critical thinking, and equip students with real-world skills. And by amplifying these efforts and directing resources where they are needed the most, we can create a well-rounded learning environment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Solomon Islands. Thank you for the beautiful presentation, very inspiring. My question for you is, you spoke of quality of education. How would you advocate for increased access to quality education in your community?
Thank you very much. In my own community, how I would advocate is to provide more programs for trained teachers. One of my fondest memories of school is my teachers. I really love my teachers, and something that my mom taught me is that you don't just pick up teachers from the street to come teach in school. These are people that have been trained over years to deliver lessons. So one way I'd advocate is to get more training to our teachers, quality training, so that they can have the ability to teach our kids to the highest quality that they deserve.
That was a beautiful answer, Ms. Solomon Islands. Now, you are a lab technician. as a profession, and science can be a very boring subject, especially for the younger generation. So, how would you use your voice as Miss Solomon Islands to encourage the students to embrace health and sciences?
Thank you so much for that question. I was waiting for a sciencey question. I would try to make it look glamorous, that it's good to have arts and science in the back of your pocket. I think often science is more of the glamorized pathways, especially for people like us who come from tribes where we have to feed a lot of people. So it's more glamorous to take a sciencey pathway when you're in university. But arts is just as important. Arts and science should always go hand in hand, and I always try to make that known. I always tell people that, I do a little bit of acting on the side. I do a little bit of traditional dancing and that on the side on top of my lab tech work. So yeah, it's always good to make it look glamorous and make it look like someone can do two things at the same time and not just one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Solomon Islands, for your insightful sharing about education and how it shapes our future. And thank you, judges, for your question. Next, we turn to the subject that is deeply woven into our identity, which is culture. And representing Samoa, please welcome contestant 2, Miss Samoa Litara Allen.
Paiula Walau iula E mamai le tavae Inai ono fulu E whapena Lo wha me melo I lau anganu. Honorable judges, La Ofionga Fortino Moimoana Safato Shrinki, my sisters of the crown, Samoa, Malautapua Ingamamana, those who hail from the lands of Guadalcanal lands, and my beloved Pacifica Wansawara. I celebrate through the traditional Samoan chant today, which means just as the Tawai bird is cloaked in the glory of its feathers, so too shall I stand in the full magnificence of my anganuu and my culture. This is the essence of my topic today. One only has to look around this room to see the richness and diversity of our Pacifica culture. Seeing the participation of Melanesian, Polynesian, and Micronesian contestants and teams this year has made me hopeful, and it is in this room, on this platform, through our stories, I wish to concentrate my reflections on culture, to what it means in the context of the Miss Pacific Islands pageant. In 1987, Whanaafi Aiono Letangaloa and other Pacific women leaders established a cultural platform, now known as the Miss Pacific Islands.
This pageant celebrated Pacific beauty, Pacific intelligence, and Pacific leadership, centering it on the thought that our women are the weavers, handicraft producers, nurturers, and fierce guardians of our dialects and customs. And today, I would like to touch on 3 points I believe will aid us in the preserving, promoting, and protecting of our Pacific cultures. Firstly, language serves as a medium for communicating and transferring cultural values and beliefs. When I sing the lyrics my ancestors once sung, when I retell the stories of old in my mother tongue to young ones, I feel, I hear, and I know the essence of my culture in every word. Efforts of Kanaka Maoli in Hawaii, Tangata Whenua and Aotearoa, in the areas of language revitalization with Pū, Nana Leo, and Kura Kaupapa are prime examples of this in practice. Within my own Samoan context, primary schools such as Samoa Primary now only teach in Ngangana Samoa, our Samoan language, in years 1 to 3 to increase their proficiency in younger ages. Secondly, cultural knowledge must be stored and safeguarded for future generations. Cultural festivities and events like the Miss Pacific Islands pageant, the Heilala pageant, the festivals of the Hibiscus Festival, the Te Wila Festival, Te Matatini, and the Melanesian Arts and Cultural Festival etch our languages and cultures into the regional consciousness of our blue continent. Mentorship and apprenticeship programs offer opportunities for the transfer of cultural knowledge, pairing our youth with elders and practitioners to directly learn skills, crafts, and stories like the Anofale program I took part in last year based in Samoa, where we spent 2 months dedicated to learn from influential women leaders on cultural customs. Art and literature, museums and galleries act as cultural archives while promoting creativity and excellence. And in the process of creating, we become archives ourselves. For example, our visit yesterday to the Solomon Islands National Museum, we learned all about the diversity of Solomon Islands cultures. Lastly, culture must be applied. In simple terms, it must be lived out. According to the Pacific Region's Cultural Strategy 2022 to 2032, culture is the lifeblood of our communities. It is a key catalyst for the development of our island nations. So to end my presentation today, I would like to say whakatei tele lava, alo whālualo tele lava.
Time is Samoa. Very much. That presentation very much brought your experience and your culture, very much alive culture. I see in your profile, you are a graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Pacific Studies. And that reflected in the presentation that you presented this morning, so malola. My question is, how can culture affect our youth? How can culture affect our youth?
Thank Thank you very much for the question. It's a question that is always in the front of my mind as an educator. And I truly believe that in this day and age, one of the greatest, threats to the preservation of our culture is globalization. And often with the theme of globalization comes the want of our youth to be something other than who they are. A want to be part of a culture that may not best suit their families, and it may not directly align with their context that they live in. One thing that I've really enjoyed about being Miss Samoa is that I've had the chance to see culture in practice with the youth. And a thought that comes to mind when I think about this as a solution is that we have to remind them of the why we practice our culture. Our youth won't just do something because you tell them. They'll roll their eyes. They'll be like, ugh, I just want to go on TikTok. But if we show them the why of their doing it, everything flows from there. A key point that I'd love to touch on in my own Samoan culture, a solution to gender-based violence would be with the theme of a covenant relationship that we understand in Samoa as whiangainga. If we remind our children of the why our brother and sister relationship is so important to our young ones, imagine if that we reinforced it in our youth programs, in our church programs, in our teaching in schools. I wonder if our gender-based violence stats would decrease. I think often we think of looking outside of our blue continent for answers, but we often have our answers in our own cultures.
Thank you, Ms. Moore, for your response. You are contesting to become Miss Pacific and realizing the loss of tradition throughout the Pacific. It's alarming. If you become a Miss Pacific, where and what would be your priority areas to address the loss of tradition in the island communities of the Pacific?
Thank you very much for the question. Some of the research that I put into preparing for this topic was looking at the Pacific Regional Framework, I believe, for culture, set for 2022 to 2032. And one of the issues that they highlighted was that the areas of lack in the area of cultural preservation was funding. A lot of the cultural initiatives that start are often funded personally or privately. And so one thing that I would love to advocate for, if I was to be crowned Miss Pacific Islands, is to work with policymakers, work with NGOs, not only our private sector that often fund these things, but our public sector as well, to ensure that these programs that are already being done get the money to support and reinforce those things. Again, I'd like to reinforce that idea, and we have a proverb in Samoa that goes, it means that when you are spiked by an alamea kind of fish or a starfish, you must turn it over and it will suck the poison out of your foot. So the antidote for the alamea problem is the alamea itself, meaning that our solutions to our own problems are within our own communities. Kafta.
Kafta Lava Miss Samoa for reminding us of the power of our cultures and the answers that rest in our own communities. Now we shift our focus to tourism, an industry that allows us to share our very cultures with the entire world. Please welcome contestant 3, Miss Tonga, Rachel Gutenberg.
Not that one.
Iaia ki whanua o tui o seni, na i kai ke mau o tua. E masiva he lei, hallelujah, ko monu ia eni. Ma'alola lei, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our Heavenly Father in our midst and all persons here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a national fair hymn akin to all Tongans. Its significance reminds us all what a Belihau Ofa has taught us well. We are a sea of islands and not islands in the sea. We are blessed beyond measures, though we have very little to offer, lest we lose hope. Today, I stand before you to discuss the significance of tourism in the Pacific and the critical role our young leaders play in shaping its future. Tourism is more than just an industry. It is about our values, our people, our land, and our ocean. These define our uniqueness, and it is imperative that we protect and cherish these treasures. Tourism is essential for our economy, environmental conservation, and cultural preservation. I want to share and shine light on the young leaders who are at the forefront of this movement, hailing from diverse backgrounds, be it environmental science, cultural heritage, or community advocacy. To unite with a shared vision for Tonga's tourism, by highlighting their achievements, we underscore the vital role of diverse leadership coming together and supporting one another in propelling our tourism industry forward. However, tourism in the Pacific faces significant challenges. Climate change poses a long-term threat, with rising sea levels, extreme weather events impacting our islands. Limited infrastructure hampers our ability to cater to a growing number of tourists. Additionally, cultural practices and norms can sometimes conflict with assumption of the international tourism development. Yet within these challenges lie opportunities. By addressing climate change through sustainable practices, we can position the Pacific as a leader in eco-friendly tourism. Adapting infrastructure to Pacific context will enhance our capacity to welcome visitors while preserving our natural beauty. Embracing and promoting cultural heritage can attract niche markets and create unique experiences for travelers. The future of tourism in the Pacific hinges on empowering our young people to lead. The diversity, innovative ideas, and unwavering passion will ensure a thriving and prosperous industry. The leaders of yesterday crawled, so myself and my sisters can walk today. I hope we empower the leaders of tomorrow to soar. Let us remember that tourism is not just about economic growth. It is about safeguarding our heritage, protecting our island homes, and fostering a sense of community. I stand here not alone, but one of many young women leaders in Tonga and across the Pacific, championing solidarity through the vastness of our moana, molded by the guidance of our ancestors, gathered here today on the woven mats of our Pacific moana. This is our Pacific tourism, a regional identity of good hospitality, food, and vibrant people. The unity in our diversity, persevering and leading still in the face of adversity. Still for all ages, for all eternity in this Tongan hymn. Lape palafisai, toki olive eua, kule anga mesiasi kai malo ha whanua. Hota manu, e ta mao ha hau, kau kaua. Malo abita.
Thank you, Ms. Tonga, for this lovely presentation on tourism. My question to you is, how can you empower our young people in preserving sustainable tourism?
Thank you so much for the question. Working with the youth has been my passion. I think it's important that youth work together. I would like to collaborate, especially our young leaders who are sitting here today, so that we can work on programs, creating dialogue sessions so that we can empower our young people to preserve and create sustainable tourism, especially protecting our environmental degradations, and also to emphasize unity so that we can work together to come up with initiatives and solutions, because their diversity and their opinions and their ideas matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tonga. That was a beautiful presentation you had.
Thank you.
Ms. Tonga, if you are to win Miss Pacific Island, how would you promote the Pacific to the world?
Thank you for the question. How will I promote the Pacific to the world? The Pacific is not just a vast ocean or a land of islands. It is about our cultural heritage, conserving our environment, and working with one another to protect our island and our people. Firstly, cultural heritage is important to us. It is our identity. And it is important that we work together to enhance and create awareness so that everyone is with us together. Just like Ebedi Haovai said, we are islands of the sea and we are sea of islands, we are sea of islands and not islands in the sea. Second of all is fighting against climate disasters. And that means taking action matters. And this includes everyone, not only the youth, but all people around the Pacific. And lastly, I call upon our leaders, everyone, to work together as we march to create a better, resilient, safe, and dedication to stewardship for our country to thrive in the future. Thank you.
Malo Apito, Ms. Tonga, for reminding us of how important tourism is to the Pacific. From tourism, we now look beyond our shores in the Pacific to the realm of international relations. Let's welcome Miss American Samoa, Poliana Felipe Isalo.
Good afternoon, esteemed judges, fellow contestants, and everyone gathered here today. It's often said that no nation is an island unto itself. This rings especially true for us in the Pacific, where the survival and prosperity of our islands are deeply connected to the world beyond our shores. From education scholarships to job opportunities, healthcare support and trade, international relations touch every aspect of our lives. These relationships, through diplomacy, partnerships, and cooperation, shape not just our economies, but our cultures and futures. As I stand before you, I am reminded of how deeply our Pacific communities are interconnected. We are a living example of what international relations look and practice. Just as in our villages, where neighbors rely on each other for support, our nations and people form ties that drive mutual growth. The beauty of the Pacific is not just in our landscapes, but in the rich diversity of our cultures, languages, and traditions. And like the stories passed down through generations, our relationships with the wider world hold the power to create lasting change. This is where platforms like the Miss Pacific Islands pageant come in. They provide a stage where Pacific women, like the current Miss Pacific Islands, Moana Schwenke, use their voices to spark change. It's not just about beauty, it's about representation. It's about sharing the stories of our islands and celebrating the strength, resilience, and wisdom of Pacific peoples. Through this platform, we foster connections that create understanding and build bridges between our island nations and the world. As a proud daughter of American Samoa, I understand firsthand how deeply our connection with the United States and other nations influence our lives. Federal aid supports our schools, hospitals, and infrastructure, while trade agreements open markets for industries like tuna fishing. International partnerships provide scholarships and military opportunities for our youth, giving them the chance to gain higher education and build careers while contributing back to our islands. But American Samoa is not alone in benefiting from international relations. Our Pacific neighbors, Tonga, Samoa, Kiribati, Cook Islands, the Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, and Nauru, each play vital roles in this global network. Tonga and Samoa receive international development aid, strengthening their education and infrastructure. Nations like Kiribati and the Solomon Islands are leading the global fight for climate change. The Cook Islands and Papua New Guinea engage in international trade, boosting their economies, and Nauru, though small, is a proud member of the United Nations, proving that even the smallest nations have a voice. Together, we are United Pacific, and through our collective strength, we have made an impact on the global stage. Whether it's through the Pacific Islands Forum, which I am happy to say that American Samoa was recently accepted as a member, or the United Nations, we have used our influence to call for urgent action on climate change and the protection of our oceans. Our region's shared vision and commitment to sustainable development serve as a reminder of how much more we can achieve when we stand together. As Pacific women, we carry this legacy of unity and purpose. The Miss Pacific Islands pageant is not just a beauty contest. It is a platform for change, forming diplomatic ties, and for ensuring that the voices of Pacific peoples are heard in global discussions. As Hilda Heine, former president of the Marshall Islands, once said, Pacific women are not waiting to be given a seat at the table. We are building our own table and inviting the world to sit with us. For leaders like Attorney Ann Dunn, former Miss Fiji and Pacific Islands, to Matau Aina to Omaritai Whitcomb, former Miss American Samoa and Pacific Islands in Cultural Preservation with Lelalele Dance Academy, and former Miss Samoa and Miss Pacific Islands Mary Jane McGibbons Schwenke, promoting inclusivity and diversity through the promotion of identity and culture at Matawai Cultural Arts. We see how women in the Pacific are shaping our future. These are the trailblazers, women who carry with them the wisdom of our ancestors while pushing forth with strength and vision. In closing, let us remember that the call in our international relations is not just about politics or policies. They are about people. It is about us, our communities, our families, and the future we are building together. We are the voices of the Pacific, and through unity, diplomacy, and representation, we will ensure that our islands thrive for generations to come. Thank you. Fa'atailawa.
That was a powerful speech, Miss American Samoa.
Thank you.
Now, social media is a powerful platform to unite and divide. In relations to your pageant journey, where there were horrendous comments about your fellow competitors, as a leader, how would you respond to this?
You know, it's so much that's out of our control on social media. And we can't really control the negative comments that come our ways, especially as competitors. But I would love to share with you all the journey that my sisters and I have had, regardless of the backlash or the negative feedback that we've been receiving online. I tell you, I just laugh at it because it's like, me and my sisters get along so well, and I feel like the true essence of leadership is not entertaining the negativity. We let it blow with the wind. True leadership is letting God center you and guide you with your values in life. It is the way that we have been able to love on one another, regardless that this is a competition. I truly feel the bond that we have fostered is so genuine that we don't even let the social media noise get to us. Because as I've stated, it's much more than a beauty contest. This is about celebrating the diversity of our cultures and where we come from. When we leave the Solomon Islands, I'm sure I can speak for my sisters and I when I say, I leave a changed woman, I will never be the same. True leadership is walking in humility, and it has been so humbling learning from you all, and I mean that with my whole heart. I hope that answers your question.
Malo, Miss American Samoa.
Malo Sifua.
Thank you very much for that very, very strong presentation. My question for you is, and you touched on cultural diplomacy. What role do you see cultural diplomacy play in international relations?
Cultural diplomacy in international relations, it's especially critical, especially to us as Pacific Islanders. It is our Northern Star and our guide. It is our identity as people and as leaders. As Pacific Island leaders, we don't lead out of greed for power or the greed for money. We lead for the love of our people. We lead because we're caretakers of the largest body of water. We fight for a deeper purpose. We don't just lead for a title. Where I'm from in American Samoa, as well as my sister Litara, you know, we share the same culture. We say that ole ala i le pule o le tautua. The way to leadership is through service. And I believe that is the way that most of our Pacific Island people lead. We lead with service and we lead with the heart of wanting change for our people. And not the money or the power or playing into the capitalistic way of life. That's not who we are. And that's why cultural diplomacy is so important. It is the heartbeat of who we are as leaders in the Pacific. Otherwise, why lead at all? Thank you.
Just before we introduce the next contestant, may I remind of the housekeeping matters. We just heard a phone ringing at the back, so please, again, switch off your mobile phones or put it on silent mode. We do not want any disruptions while the contestants are having their presentations. Also, please keep all applause until the end of the contestant's presentation. Thank you.
Malole Paso, Kapitang Miss American Samoa, for your very inspiring words. As we continue, we turn our attention to the pressing socio-economic issues that shape our communities. Please welcome contestant 5, Miss Kiribati Kimberly Tokana.
Leadership is not tested in times of comfort. It is tested in times of adversity. Honorable judges, my lovely fellow contestants, and ladies and gentlemen, melody and warm Pacific greetings. Our region is known for its beauty and cultural heritage, but it also faces urgent challenges that threaten our future well-being. Today I want to highlight 3 critical socioeconomic issues: climate change and socioeconomic vulnerability, youth unemployment, and social inequality. These challenges affect real lives, and we need strong leadership and urgent action to address them. Our blue continent is at the forefront of climate change with far-reaching consequences. Rising sea levels are eating away our precious lands, taking away the opportunity from people and families to grow food and earn a living. Intensifying natural disasters are destroying homes and businesses, setting back economies by years. Ocean warming is depleting fish stocks, threatening one of our biggest industries, fisheries. The economic impact is also staggering. The World Bank estimates that climate-related disasters cost us over $1 billion annually. But how can our small island nations recover when resources are already stretched so thin? This begs the question, how do we secure our economies against the crisis that we did not create? The answer lies in sustainable solutions like climate-resilient infrastructure, economic diversification, traditional knowledge, and stronger regional cooperation to access climate funding. Without action, our economies will continue to suffer under a burden we cannot afford to carry alone. Like climate change, youth unemployment is threatening our future leaders. Our region has one of the highest youth unemployment rates in the world, with some countries like mine up to 60%. The formal job market employs only 20% of young people across the region. And when young people migrate for better opportunities, they leave behind their families, their communities, their cultures. This is an economic and social crisis. When people cannot find work, entire societies suffer. Poverty increases, crime rises, and faith and hope is fading. But it does not have to be this way. We must invest in entrepreneurship, digital skills, and sustainable industries. Our young people are innovative, but they need tools and resources to thrive. Let's empower them, not just as workers, but as leaders and innovators who will shape our economic future. As we strive for stronger economies, we must not leave anyone behind. Yet women, persons with disabilities, and rural communities face barriers that hold them back. Our women make half the workforce, but occupy only 6.4% of parliamentary seats, the lowest in the world. Persons with disabilities struggle to access education and jobs despite their talents. Rural communities lack basic infrastructure and economic incentives, limiting their opportunities. How can we expect strong economies if we do not include everyone? The answer is clear. We must break these barriers by ensuring equal access to education and decent jobs, support for women-led businesses and leadership programs, and better infrastructure in rural areas. Because an inclusive economy is a strong economy. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenges we face are immense, but so is our strength. By investing in climate resilience, we protect our economies from climate disasters. By empowering youth, we create opportunities that keep talents in our region. And by embracing diversity through social inclusion, we unlock our full potential. Our time for action is now. Will you wait for change, or will you lead with me? Kamrapa, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kiribati, for that presentation. Of course, those issues are real and affecting the islands of Pacific. My question is, how do you see traditional knowledge as a way of addressing unemployment in your community?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Pacific would like to preserve its culture, and how do you see tradition as a solution to unemployment?
Lovely question. Thank you.
Our culture and traditions in itself are priceless. And there are skills there that have been in our generations, in our way of life since the beginning of time. Our ancestors have made it this far. And if we use the skills that our ancestors have taught us, it will give us the opportunity to create our own entrepreneurships, create our own businesses. Nowadays, tourism is, Kiribati is branching out to tourism. We are diversifying our economy, not just focusing on fisheries, but also on sustainable tourism. And in sustainable tourism, that is encouraging our people to embrace globalization while at the same time keeping our cultures, our traditions alive. If we use this in sustainable tourism, it will create jobs. It will create jobs not just for our home islands, but in the Pacific as a whole. Because we sit here, I sit here with my beautiful sisters, and they sit representing different cultures. So very diverse in this one room. And if we use it well, promote our cultures well, it can create jobs and lower unemployment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kiribati. Very good as asked by my fellow judge, so I've got to quickly come up with another question. If you are crowned the prestigious title at the end of the week, how do you intend to work with youth in the region in combating social inequality?
I've been very passionate with social equality. This is an emotional topic. So I grew up with my mother, who had her leg amputated when she was young. And I grew up and I didn't realize that people with disabilities were discriminated against, because my mother was a strong one. She fights for her opportunities. But as I grow older, I went to study, and people are different. We can't control everybody, but we can share with them our knowledge, our traditions, our cultures. And I realized that Children, youths, especially those with disabilities, are often forgotten about. And then there are reports written about them. There's the saying, nothing about us without us. And I believe if I get blessed with this title at the end of this week, I would love to work with people, continue working with people with disabilities. I'm actually employed at the only NGO for people with disabilities in Kiribati. And I would love to promote and advocate for their rights. A lot of countries, including Kiribati, have ratified the Conventions on the Rights for People with Disabilities. Since 2013, there are movements towards protecting their rights and encouraging children with disabilities are not forgotten about. There is a school for children with disabilities, and there are programs that allow them to join public schools. However, there is always room for improvement. Infrastructure needs to be improved for people with disabilities to work and to live on their own independently, as we do, people that we have all our limbs and can function like my other neighbors. I'm sorry, I'm taking the time, but if I become Miss Pacific Islands, there's a whole lot to feel after Miss Moimoana. She got big shoes to fit in. She has demonstrated a lot of youth inclusivity, but if I were to become Miss Pacific Islands after her, I would continue her legacy. I would continue her work. She's doing amazing. And I would love to work more with people with disabilities and people in the outer islands. Sometimes we forget about them, and I would love to have the opportunity to work with them. Thank you so much.
Marhaba, Ms. Kiribati. Thank you for being very brave to address important issues in our region. I'm sure you can all tell that the women who have spoken, they don't just speak from their minds, they are speaking from their heart, and you're doing very well. And it's a great honor to introduce our next contestant with the focus of health for our people, which is vital for our well-being. Please welcome contestant 6, the beautiful Miss Papua New Guinea, Mei.
Sustained by the ocean, cared for by the land. They were a healthy, thriving Pacific. Today, the vibrant cultures and traditions of the Pacific are being overshadowed by a silent health epidemic. Non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and cancer are not just health issues. They are the leading cause of premature death in the Pacific Islands, accounting for approximately 75% of mortalities. This crisis threatens the very fabric of our communities, yet it often remains in the shadows. Distinguished judges, ladies and gentlemen, the custodians of the land we stand on, the people of Guadalcanal. Representing Papua New Guinea, I, Meha Sola, am here to shed light on the pressing issue and explore actionable solutions to safeguard the health of our people. To chart a course to a healthier Pacific, free from non-communicable diseases, I offer 3 solutions that incorporate the wisdom of our cultures whilst also embracing modernity and the solutions it has to offer. Firstly, our people must return to the land and the seas that have always provided nourishing sustenance. The increase in non-communicable diseases is largely due to a high consumption of processed foods high in sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats. In an article published by the World Health Organization titled Food Systems, a powerful tool to prevent non-communicable diseases by the WHO, called for people to observe a balanced diet and consume healthy food that is not harmful to their bodies. But healthy eating is nothing new to the Pacific. It has been our way. We have simply strayed the path. Whether it is taros in Samoa, the abundance of yams in the Solomon Islands, or lobster in Kiribati, let us return to the land and the seas that have always provided nourishing sustenance for our people. Secondly, our people must make healthier lifestyle choices, recognizing the importance of being physically active. Sedentary lifestyles have become too common, increasing the likelihood of non-communicable diseases. An article published by Harvard Health titled Exercise and Fitness stated that regular exercise every day is the single most important thing you can do for your health, as it decreases the likelihood of non-communicable diseases. Again, physical activity has always been part of our cultures, whether it is the canoe racing in Tonga, such as the futasi, or island cricket in Vanuatu. We must encourage our people to be more physically active. This could be done through community sports or the use of local recreational facilities. Finally, addressing this crisis requires not only traditional practices, but also the expertise of trained healthcare professionals. However, many Pacific nations face a significant shortage of doctors, nurses, and specialists, making it challenging to manage the increasing burden of non-communicable diseases. For example, in my country of Papua New Guinea, we have approximately 500 doctors serving a population of 9 million people. This is a ratio of 1 doctor to 18,000 people. These statistics highlight the crucial need of more healthcare professionals. To combat this, it is essential to expand medical education programs to train more healthcare workers and provide specialized training in areas critical for treating these diseases. In conclusion, the future of health in the Pacific is not about abandoning our past, but finding a way to blend modern healthcare with the traditional knowledge that has sustained us for generations. Our strength lies in our unity, our culture, and our resilience. As we face the health challenges ahead, we must collaborate, innovate, and invest in sustainable solutions. The Pacific is not just a region. We are a family. And like any family, when one of us is hurting, we come together to heal.
Thank you very much, Ms. PNG. That was a very strong presentation. My question for you is, how does climate change affect public health in the Pacific Islands?
Thank you for your question. It is a fact that climate change highly affects our Pacific Island nations. In terms of health, climate change has affected the food that our Pacific Islands have access to. In terms of this, we have certain practices that are being done by different Pacific Island nations to combat this. For example, in Kiribati, because of how climate change is affecting their soil, they plant cover crops. So these crops, they gain nutrients from the air, and they put back into the soil the rich nutrients that is needed for good food growth and food production and high yield. After planting cover crops, they then plant corn and other food that can help sustain them. We can learn something from the island of Kiribati. Though facing climate change and facing food shortages, they have found a way to overcome this. I believe our different Pacific Island nations can also learn from this and incorporate it into their own countries to the specific problems that they are facing, learning from Kiribati. Thank you.
That was a wonderful answer, Miss Papua New Guinea. So, unfortunately, when people hear healthy living, they think of diet culture. And today's generation of diet culture can be alarming and harmful. It can lead to certain disorders, like eating disorder and malnutrition. So, as a leader, as Miss Papua New Guinea, how can you be a positive role model to combat this?
Thank you very much for your question. I would like to answer this by sharing a personal experience. So, before entering the Miss Papua New Guinea pageant, I was a really big fan of cake and lamb flaps and all the junks you can think of. When entering the pageant, my mom told me, you have to start losing weight. And I didn't like it because I didn't want to diet and stop eating all my favorite foods. But one thing that my communications person, my mentor, my big brother, Dagia, taught me was, you don't always have to starve yourself. You don't always have to live to that perception of what a beautiful woman is. It is important that you take your health into consideration, your mental health and your well-being as well. So one important thing that he taught me was the importance of portion control and controlling the amount of food you eat. It doesn't mean that you have to stop eating all your favorite foods. You only have to just take in moderate portions. And I think that's why we get along so well, is he allows me to eat everything I want, but in moderation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tomas, Miss Papua New Guinea, for that beautiful and very relatable presentation. From health, we now move into a domain that keeps our youth active and inspired, which is sports. Please welcome contestant 7, Miss Naoero
Good morning, panel of judges, pageant organizers, pageant contestants, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charlotte Adriana Day, and it is an honor and privilege to stand before you today and speak on a topic that lies at the heart of our Pacific identity, which is sports. I am pleased to inform you that recently on 31st January, my island of Nauru celebrated 57 years of independence. And our President, His Excellency David Adiang, announced that this year's theme is youth and sports, which is very fitting for my topic. In my home nation, we are proud of our deep connection to weightlifting and powerlifting. Our athletes have shown time and again that size does not define strength. And through dedication, discipline, and determination, we have been able to excel on regional and international platforms, from lifting iron to lifting the spirits of our people. While we celebrate diversity in sports, we must also recognize and honor the invaluable contributions of Pacific women in sports. Too often, the strength and achievements of our female athletes have been overlooked, yet they continue to break barriers, inspire future generations, and bring glory to their nations. From gold medal winning lifters to women's rugby champions and trailblazing netball players across the Pacific, our women have proven they belong on the world stage. Their resilience, determination, and ability to balance cultural expectations while pursuing excellence in sports make their achievements even more inspiring. We must support, encourage, and lift up our women in sports, ensuring they receive the same opportunities, recognition, and respect as their male counterparts. When women succeed in sports, they empower communities and inspire young women to believe that they too can overcome adversity and achieve greatness. Like other Pacific nations, we have a few sporting legends of our own in Nauru. In the 1990s, Marcus Stevens dominated Pacific weightlifting for over a decade, breaking numerous records and putting Nauru on the sporting map. His success played a vital role in securing Nauru's inclusion in the Olympic Games family in 1996. A female weightlifter, Family Notse, aged 15, made history as the first Nauruan athlete to win a gold medal in the Youth World Championship in 2024. Whether on the sports field, in the classroom, or in leadership, know that you carry the strength of your ancestors, the wisdom of your culture, and the limitless potential within you, as long as you keep your faith strong. As we celebrate sports diversity in the Pacific, let us embrace the power of unity, respect, faith, and continue to lift up one another to show the world that from the Pacific, greatness will rise. You might find it hard to believe that a woman of my elegant and slender figure would have been involved in such a high-intensity, muscle-engaging, explosive sport such as weightlifting. Yes, true, Tomas. I too tried my hand in weightlifting, inspired to follow the footsteps of Marcus Stevens. Lo and behold, I did not surpass his achievements. However, I did manage to win a gold medal at the Oceania Youth Championship and a silver medal at the Commonwealth Youth Championship in 2017. Last but not least, my pageant sisters will definitely agree on me that we are all athletes in our own rights. The preparations for this Miss Pacific Islands pageant is much like the rigorous training program for any sport. We wake up early, go through our routines, practice, don the attire, and then execute the game plan. On that note, I encourage you all to exercise, engage in sports, and stay healthy. Matubakar, thank you, Tomas.
Malo, Ms. Nauru. It's nice to see that you did participate and did try to weightlifting. I'm also involved with a lot of sports as a sport administrator. and as shift the mission to the Pacific Games in Solomon in 2023. And again, we'll be shift the mission for Samoa in the mini Pacific Games in Palau in the middle of this year. Now, if you were crowned the Miss Pacific Island this year and using that platform, what would you do differently to attract more female athletes to participate in the mini Pacific Games in Palau? What would you do differently to attract more female participation?
Thank you for the question. I will just speak from my personal experience that in Nauru, we have women in male-dominated sports. Firstly, it will be a blessing to be crowned Miss Pacific Islands. And what I would do is I would share my knowledge from Nauru to all the other Pacific Islands. Because in Nauru, there's a lot of inclusivity, and there are a lot of female athletes there. And maybe if we could showcase the successful athletes, I think we could encourage all the other youth women to young women to pursue their dreams, whether it's in sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nauru, for attending to that question. We know that sports has value in it. How do you see using sport as a medium to promote values throughout the Pacific communities?
One thing I've learned when I was training in weightlifting, I have learned the values of discipline, perseverance, and teamwork. These values are important, not for just like training or in sports, but it's important in real life situations. I'm blessed to have these values now, so I encourage the youths to I would like to encourage the youth to follow their dreams. Thank you.
Tabuako, Ms. Nauero, thank you for sharing the wonderful initiatives in your I'm in Her and inspiring all of us with your sharing today. Finally, we arrive at the topic that is also of critical importance, environment and climate change, which our very future and planet rely on. So please welcome contestant 8, Miss Cook Islands, Ngate Wairu.
kino kino nei, I tōku takere moana. E tai aka ki, e ngaru atu paka. E pū ai oio, e aorangi kua mākita kita. E pō kere kere, kua haue te inua, te akaro. These are the words of my elders, and it says, who is destroying our ocean? Our waters are rising. The waves are stronger. The winds are devastating. The heavens are temperamental. The darkness has unfolded the tears of our ancestors. We must protect. Ake, ake, ake. Kia ora, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished judges, honorable board members, and, of course, my beautiful Pacific sisters. Greetings in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I'd like to share with you all my thoughts on environment and climate change in our beautiful Pacific Islands. The Pacific is our home, our paradise of turquoise waters, lush forests, and vibrant cultures. But today, our home is in danger. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is here, ending and eroding our shores, bleaching our reefs, and endangering our way of life. As the guardians of the Pacific, we must act now. Our small islands nations, Polynesia, Melanesia, and Micronesia, are on the front lines of this crisis. Rising sea levels threaten our homes. Extreme weathers devastates our lands. Our marine life is suffering, but we are not powerless. We must lead with courage. Governments must enforce stricter environmental policies, banning single-use plastics, protecting our reefs, and investing in renewable energy like solar or wind power. Our people must embrace suitable practices, reducing waste, supporting eco-friendly businesses, and reviving traditional knowledge that teaches us to live in harmony with nature. Education is key. We must raise awareness in our schools, our communities, and on global platforms. Let us use our voices to tell the world the Pacific is not just a dot on the map. It is a lifeline for millions, and it must be protected. As Pacific Queens, we have the power to inspire change. Let us stand together and show the world that the Pacific will not sink. We will rise. Kia ora, eke manuia.
Thank you, Ms. Cook Islands, for this lovely presentation. My question to you is, the church or faith is entrenched in the lives of many in the Pacific. How do you see their role among the youth in the climate crisis, in combating the climate crisis?
Thank you for the question. I believe that everything we do and Christ beside us, anything is possible. The value of faith would inspire many generations if we believe in the Lord. For example, in the Cook Islands, we are a very Christian community. Our youth goes to Sunday school, and as they're visiting Sunday school, they learn about the culture and the climate around us. So I believe that it is with faith that anything is possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cook Islands. That was beautiful. Our Pacific leaders had expressed how climate change is the greatest single threat to the lives of the Pacific people. My question for you is, how would you use your platform to raise awareness to support the fight against climate change? And what message would you give to the world about protecting the Pacific Islands from the pressing impact?
Thank you for the question. I agree that climate change is affecting our Pacific. One thing I would do in support of combating climate change is working along with our governments of the Pacific, using this platform to raise voices of our communities, our Pacific people, so that their voices are heard. One solution that I would raise with our governments is to invest in solar panels or wind power, using renewable energy instead of relying on burning fossil fuels. This will eliminate, or it would reduce, or reduce our climate change weather conditions. Thank you so much.
Ms. Cook Islands, Ngate Paru, for another inspiring presentation. That concludes our pre-pageant interview. So can we please give a round of applause? I'll ask our ladies to please make a line in front of the stage. Elsie, if you could lead the district. I don't know about our audience, but for all 8 presentations, I think I was on the brink of tears. Trying to hold it in because I'm very, very proud of each and every one of you. So I think you've all poured your hearts into the presentations today, and we can tell that it's not just researched information, it's personal experiences, and it's hopes and dreams for all of your islands. So I hope You feel the weight off your shoulders now. That's one big event completed. And now we just have to focus on the pageant now. So I'm very, very proud of you. You're all testament to what our Pacific girls and women can look up to and aspire to. And I hope that everyone watching online and everyone watching right now can see how beautiful our women are when they're really supported and raised and nurtured with Pacific values and Pacific culture. And I hope and pray that everything that you've said today can be heard near and afar, from Solomon Islands to every corner of our Blue Pacific region, because it really is so important. So I want to congratulate each and every one of you for your sharing. You've really lifted my spirit today, and you've lifted a lot of people's lives. And I actually have a special gift for you before we conclude our pre-pageant interview section. It's actually a book, and I think everything that you shared today, it was all of the thoughts and ideas that I had to put in this book, and it's releasing tomorrow. It's called I Love My Island, and actually some of your islands are included in the book, and it's dedicated to our youth. And I think in every presentation, what the Northern Star and the guide is the future, and it's the future generation and our kids. So I want to give this to you so that you can read and ponder upon before our big event on Saturday. So I'll hand out to each of you, and maybe we can take a group photo with the book. And then I'll tell you what it is. Thank you, ladies. As you take your seats, as our ladies take their seats, I also would like to extend a big, heartfelt gratitude and respect to our distinguished panel of judges. Thank you for asking questions that really engaged our beautiful sisters here to really think and share experiences not from only their island, but a lot of them shared things from all across our Pacific. So ladies, you can take your seat. I also just want to announce that there are some other exciting events for our week ahead. Tomorrow is our float parade, and that is happening here in Honiara, Solomon Islands, from Sun Valley to SMI from 11 a.m. So that's a note to all people here in Honiara. Please join us tomorrow for our float parade and support our 8 beautiful contestants who will bring their culture here to Solomon Islands. Followed by our float parade will be the crowning night, the final night of our Miss Pacific Islands pageant, Saturday, February 8th, and that will be happening at Friendship Hall from 7 p.m. I believe the tickets are sold out, or there are only a few left, which is just in the general seating, but you can also join us on the live streams for our online communities. So that will be our crowning night, where one of our beautiful 8 contestants will be crowned our Miss Pacific Islands. I also would like to say, don't forget to vote on our Facebook page, Miss Pacific Islands. That will be for the Tourism Solomon's People's Choice Award. So it's not too late to vote for your favorite contestants or for all of our contestants. and that will go straight to one of the ladies being awarded the Tourism Solomon's People's Choice Award. Voting closes on Saturday 8th at 12 p.m. midday Solomon Islands time, so please react or like on their picture for your vote to count. That actually concludes today's event. Thank you so much for your attention and for your time. Thank Solomon Islands and everyone watching, and have a great day. God bless.